the start of the project, we should really develop a communication strategy and a communication plan to identify how we're going to work with our different stakeholder groups. To look at the purpose of the communication, the frequency, how timely does it need to be, what's the method, are we going to email, are we going to send out printed reports, and how are we going to get feedback, because communication is a two-way process. This video podcast provides an introduction to communication planning. The Association for Project Management, in their body of knowledge, identify that communication is the means by which information or instructions are exchanged. And it is important to recognise that effective communication is a two-way process. We need a communication plan that covers each of our stakeholder groups. There are those individuals and groups performing the work, the individuals and groups who are affected by the work, owners, shareholders and customers, and finally there may be statutory and regulatory bodies who we have to communicate with. We've identified the different stakeholder groups. Now in our plan we should look at what is the purpose of the communication. Is it to inform, to gain feedback? And how often are we going to communicate with those stakeholder groups? Daily, weekly or monthly? Next we need to look at the method of communication. Is it perhaps going to be an email update? Are we going to send out a status report? And who has the responsibility to prepare and deliver this message? Because we need to drive ownership into the communication process. We have considered some of the theory. Let's look at a worked example. And in this one, we'll take those individuals and groups who are performing the work and come up with a couple of communication plans based upon project delivery. The first one we'll look at is the output of an updated project plan. A project manager will need to ensure they get an up-to-date status on project progress. So the responsibility of this then lies with the project manager. Remember, communication is a two-way process. In our project plan, the input that we require to get the update will be from those individuals who are assigned against the activities. And here you will see that I've identified them by role. What is the purpose that we're trying to achieve? Well, in our project plan, what we want to know is what's the actual duration. How long did that activity take against the time we thought it would take? What is the remaining duration? Is there any time left to finish off that activity? So we can calculate the duration variance. And if we're using time as the method of calculating percent complete, then our project software may then calculate the percentage complete for that individual activity. Finally, what's the frequency for this plan update? We'll assume that we want weekly updates. And what's the method of getting the update? Well, rather than rely on email, we could perhaps use video conferencing using a product like Skype, or have audio conferences. Either way, we're seeking to get verbal feedback from our colleagues on those items relating to duration that we saw on the previous scene. If we look at a new area, user acceptance testing, during UAT, we need to get some feedback. Now the individuals that we'll work with are those doing the testing. And what we want as the output is an update on the results of the testing for that day. The purpose here then is to communicate test status. And how often is at the end of each day. It's an end of day review. We can't wait till the end of the week. And the method we're going to apply here would be to update the test status software, not to ask for verbal feedback, but to get individuals to update a piece of software which collates all the UAT results. In summary, we want to develop a comprehensive communication plan covering the different stakeholder groups. We need to ensure that we're providing well-timed, relevant updates on progress and gather feedback when required. My name's John Chapman. I hope you have found this educational video podcast of interest. Please give us a call. Goodbye.